The Young and the Restless spoilers shock. For decades, the push and pull between Billy Abbott and Jill Abbott has defined much of his personal turmoil, and though the two have often found their way back to one another in moments of crisis, the wounds left behind by years of disappointment and misunderstanding have never truly healed. Now, with a single phone call, Jill reignites the fire that has always simmered beneath the surface of their mother-son dynamic. Her words, delivered in a tone heavy with disappointment, cut into Billy more deeply than she perhaps realizes, though some part of her must know the power she wields. To hear his mother once again speak of her lack of faith in him, of her frustration with his choices, sends Billy into a spiral of anger and resentment. He explodes with fury, insisting that his life is not a failure, that he has built success on his own terms despite every obstacle placed in his path. What enrages him most is not Jill's disappointment but her endless interference, her constant need to remind him that his victories never seem to measure up to the impossible standard she has set. For Billy, every misstep has been amplified under Jill's critical gaze, every triumph dismissed as fleeting or insufficient, and the years of this silent judgment now pour out of him like a flood. In his voice is the pain of a man who feels he has had to fight for everything without support, who believes his mother has never once offered him the unconditional encouragement that should be a son's birthright. He tells her bitterly that she never created opportunities for him, never opened doors that she easily could have, never trusted him with the weight of responsibility that she has given to others. Every achievement, he declares, was his own doing, clawed out of the shadows of constant skepticism. The history of their clashes plays like a reel in his mind, arguments over his gambling, over his failed romances, over his impulsive business decisions. Each one has left scars that never faded, and each one fuels the storm raging in him now. He demands that she finally let him live his life without interference, to release her grip on his future and allow him the dignity of making his own choices, even if they lead to mistakes. But beneath his anger, there lurks a question that has haunted him for years, one he has never voiced but always suspected. Why, he wonders, has Jill never entrusted him with the full measure of her legacy? Why has she withheld from him the inheritance, the ultimate sign of trust and acceptance that she has dangled like a prize always just out of reach? Tonight, in the crucible of their confrontation, the truth surfaces. Billy knows, deep down, the reason Jill has never given him the inheritance that would signify not just material wealth but emotional validation. It is because, at the very core of their bond, there is a fracture that can never be repaired. Billy is not her biological son. He is the boy she raised but never fully embraced, the child who bore the Abbott name but not the bloodline, the reminder of choices and circumstances that set him apart from the others. This realization crashes over him with the force of a revelation he has always feared but never spoken aloud. To him, it explains everything, the mistrust, the constant scrutiny, the refusal to let him carry the weight of the family's legacy. In Jill's cautious eyes, he has always been an outsider, someone to be managed rather than trusted, and to Billy, that is nothing short of an insult. To spend a lifetime seeking a mother's approval only to realize it was never truly within reach is the cruelest form of rejection, and it hardens something inside him that was already brittle. He sees her so-called guidance not as love but as control, a strategy to keep him close enough to manage but never free enough to truly rise. The accusation hangs unspoken in the air between them as Jill tries to defend herself, but for Billy, the damage is done. The years of unspoken doubt have crystallized into certainty, and he refuses to let her excuses wash it away. He declares that from this moment forward, his life is his own, and he will no longer bend under the weight of her expectations. Yet even as he severs that tie, the truth gnaws at him. To admit that he is not Jill's blood is to admit that his place in the world he has always fought to claim is not as secure as he believed. It explains the coldness, but it also leaves him untethered, questioning his very identity. In Genoa City, identity has always been the sharpest weapon and the deepest wound. For Billy, to discover that his mother never trusted him because he was not truly her son is both a liberation and a condemnation. It frees him from the endless cycle of trying to prove himself to a woman who will never see him as worthy, but it also strips away the foundation of who he thought he was. Jill's revelation, whether intentional or not, is a wound that will not heal easily. It risks pushing Billy further into reckless behavior, driving him back toward the vices he has fought to control. But it also plants the seed of a new determination, a desire to build something that is his alone, untainted by Jill's shadow. At the same time, the ripple effects of this truth are poised to shake others. Lily, already frustrated with Sally and furious at Audra, may find her relationship with Billy strained further as he grapples with the knowledge that his own mother never truly accepted him. Kane, whose deal with Billy hinged on repairing ties with Jill, may see his brother's refusal as proof that Billy cannot be trusted. And Jill herself, who has always believed she was acting out of a mix of tough love and caution, may find that she has finally driven her son too far, that her efforts to protect him have only pushed him into a deeper abyss. The revelation that Billy is not Jill's biological child reframes decades of conflict in a new light. Every argument, every disappointment, every withheld inheritance now feels like a thread in a tapestry of mistrust woven from the very beginning. For Billy, it is the ultimate betrayal, not that Jill has criticized him, not that she has interfered, but that she has never truly seen him as hers. In the soap opera world of Genoa City, betrayals of business, romance, and friendship may come and go, but betrayals of family cut the deepest, leaving scars that shape lifetimes. Billy's fury, Jill's disappointment, and the shattering of their already fragile bond promise that the coming weeks will be defined by confrontations not just over power and ambition but over blood, belonging, and the question of what truly makes someone family. The storm that has always brewed between Billy and Jill finally explodes into something far more destructive, something that threatens not only the fragile remnants of their relationship but the very foundation of who Billy believes himself to be. For years, their dynamic has been defined by an uneasy rhythm of love and resentment, of Jill's relentless critiques and Billy's desperate need for validation. But now, with one revelation, the cycle may be shattered beyond repair. When Billy confronts Jill with the suspicion that has haunted him, why she has never trusted him with her full legacy, why she has held him at arm's length in ways she never did with others, her tears begin to fall, and her defenses crumble. Jill, a woman who has always prided herself on control, on her ability to dictate terms in business and family alike, suddenly finds herself unable to muster the words to refute his accusation. She sobs, she tries to explain, but the words tangle in her throat, leaving only silence and the confirmation Billy has dreaded. Perhaps he is not her biological son after all. The question reverberates like an earthquake. If Billy is not Jill's child, then whose is he? For Billy, this is not simply a matter of biology but of identity, of belonging. Every memory of his childhood, every struggle he endured under Jill's watchful but often critical eye, now feels tainted by doubt. Did she love him as her son, or did she merely tolerate him out of obligation? Did every act of supposed guidance conceal the truth that he was never truly hers? Jill's tears suggest guilt, sorrow, and fear, but her inability to clearly deny the charge cuts deeper than any accusation Billy has faced before. To him, her silence is as good as confirmation, and in that moment, the fragile thread tethering them as mother and son seems to snap. The possibility of a severed bond sends shockwaves through Genoa City's tangled web of family rivalries. If Jill and Billy are no longer bound by blood, their conflicts risk transforming into something even darker, no longer softened by the instinctual pull of family ties. The prospect of them becoming enemies is no longer unthinkable but frighteningly plausible, as Billy, fueled by rage and betrayal, declares that he will cut all ties with the woman he once called his mother. Jill, devastated, tries to reach for him, to explain that love is not defined solely by biology, but Billy, drowning in anger, refuses to hear it. To him, every slight, every withheld inheritance, every criticism now feels like proof that she never truly accepted him as her own. The years of doubt, compounded by this revelation, harden into resentment, and the thread of open hostility between them looms like a storm on the horizon. In his pain, Billy turns to the one coping mechanism that has so often been both his comfort and his downfall: alcohol. He drinks heavily, each glass meant to dull the gnawing ache of betrayal but instead intensifying the spiral of self-destruction. His grief and fury blur into reckless abandon as he sits in the dim glow of a bar, his words slurring with bitterness. It is there that Sally finds him, the woman who has somehow become both a temptation and a lifeline in his turbulent life. Sally, who knows all too well the sting of being dismissed, of being seen as unworthy, approaches him with a tenderness that contrasts sharply with his violent self-loathing. She tells him gently that he is losing control, that in lashing out he is not only destroying himself but wounding Jill in ways that may never heal. But Billy cannot hear reason in this state. His voice rises as he recounts every disappointment, every moment when Jill's judgment made him feel small, every time she chose others over him. The revelation that he may not be her biological son becomes, in his mind, the answer to every painful question he has ever carried. It explains why she never gave him the inheritance, why she never trusted him fully, why she always seemed ready to believe the worst of him. Sally listens patiently, her hand on his arm, urging him not to let his pain consume him. She tells him that whether Jill is his biological mother or not, the years they shared together cannot simply be erased. Jill raised him, she shaped him, and even if her methods were flawed, her tears prove that she loves him still. Yet Billy, caught in the spiral of betrayal, cannot accept this perspective. To him, love without trust is hollow, and if Jill never saw him as truly hers, then her love was never real. As the night wears on, Sally continues to stand by him, refusing to leave him to his demons. She sees in him a man broken but not beyond repair, a man who has been defined by his flaws but who still has the capacity for redemption if he can find the strength to stop running from the truth. She tells him that anger and alcohol will not fill the void in his heart, that the only way forward is to confront the pain rather than drown it. In her words lies a challenge. To rise above the cycle of self-destruction that has plagued him for so long, to prove to himself and to the world that he is more than the mistakes of his past and the shadow of Jill's doubt. Yet the central question remains unresolved: are Jill and Billy truly mother and son, or has their relationship been built on a lie? In the world of Genoa City, secrets rarely stay buried for long, and the truth of Billy's parentage may yet emerge to shock them all. Could he be the child of another Abbott, a hidden branch of the family tree that has been concealed for decades? Could he belong to a rival bloodline, a twist of fate that would explain Jill's constant wariness? Or is this revelation a misunderstanding born of Jill's fear and guilt, a moment of weakness twisted into something it is not? The uncertainty is as corrosive as the truth itself, leaving Billy adrift in a storm of doubt. For Jill, the cost is immense. Her tears reveal not only sorrow for the pain she has caused but terror that she may have lost her son forever. She wants desperately to explain, to remind him that family is more than biology, that the years of love and conflict they shared cannot be erased by a single truth. But the more she tries to reach him, the further he pulls away, his anger a wall she cannot climb. The tragedy of their bond is that love exists, but it is suffocated by mistrust, by pride, and now by the shadow of uncertain blood. The fallout of this confrontation promises to reshape not only their lives but the balance of power in Genoa City. If Billy and Jill become adversaries, their feud could ripple through every corner of the Chancellor and Abbott legacies, drawing in Kane, Lily, and others who cannot help but be affected. Sally's presence at Billy's side may tether him for now, but even she may not be able to save him if he chooses to embrace his anger rather than confront it. And Jill, for all her power and resilience, may find that this is the one battle she cannot win, the battle to hold on to a son who may no longer believe he was ever truly hers. As the credits roll on this chapter of their story, one haunting question remains unanswered: are Jill and Billy mother and son, bound forever by love and pain, or are they strangers bound only by years of lies? Until that truth is revealed, their lives will remain suspended in a limbo of doubt and anger, their futures uncertain, and their hearts scarred by a revelation that has the power to destroy everything they once believed.